Hi world, it's Keely and I'm back for another video. This is going to be a series update. So these are all of the series I'm in the middle of and all of the ones that I have yet to start. This is not going to include any of the series that I have completed. That can be a separate video because this was enough as it was. I probably could have broken this up into 2 videos, but I'm committed. We're just going to do it. So let's start with all of these series that I am currently reading. So these are either ones that I've read everything that's since come out, I've got 1 book left, or I've read the first book and I need to continue on. We can start with the one that I'm currently reading, which is a reread of Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. Now, I read this one years and years ago, and I decided that I want to do a reread of it this year, and I am writing all over my copy. I'm having a really good time doing the reread. When I was at Barnes & Noble over the weekend, I saw a copy of The Vampire Lestat, which is the second book, and that book is so thick, and I don't know that I give a shit about Lestat, especially as like an 80s rock star, which is, I know, what the show is based off of, that book. And then also that the books apparently go downhill like the farther you get in the series. So this might be a series, I'm so overheated. This might be a series where I just stop with the first book and I'm fine with that. If you think that I should read any of the other books in the series, definitely let me know, because as of right now, I really don't think I give that much of a shit about Lestat, but I could be swayed. Then another series that I think I'm okay just reading the first one is the Corax trilogy by KJ Parker. This one is Save Us Corax Deals with the Dead. This one is not at all what I thought it was going to be, because it initially says that Save Us Corax is a battlefield cleanup guy. Like, there's this hierarchy of battlefield cleanup guys in this universe, or people in this universe, and his group is kind of one of the last groups that goes in. So there's like the group that goes in and they pick out all of the armor and all of the clothes and all of the supplies, and then Save Us's group goes in and he cleans up the bodies. I thought that's what it was going to be about, but it really wasn't. It was about Save Us, that part a tiny bit, but more of like uncovering his true identity and like royal politics and stuff. So I did enjoy this one, but it was kind of fun just as like a standalone. It didn't necessarily leave any huge cliffhangers. I think these books are probably just like individual stories from Save Us's life versus like a series you have to read in order. If you've read the full series, let me know, but as of right now, I'm cool with just having the first one read. Then a duology that I read the first one, but I actually want to reread it and then continue on, is the Parable of the Sower, Parable of the Talents by Octavia E. Butler. I have a couple series by Butler that I'm now in the middle of, so I'm just going to lump them here because this is the only physical copy that I have of the series that I'm reading. I read Parable of the Sower, and it was really, really on the nose because it takes place in the 2020s when like climate change and political upheaval and all that stuff is happening. And it was so emotional that once I finished it, I didn't want to continue on with the next book. But I still really want to get to it at some point. And then the other series by her that I started this year is the series that has Wild Seed as the first book. I will insert the cover here. So I have 2 ongoing Octavia Butler series that I can remember off the top of my head that I am reading. So this one's just a duology, but that other one has a handful of books. I don't have a physical copy of the other series. Mind of My Mind is the next one though, and I've heard that one's really good, so I do want to get to that one. Then we have a middle grade one. I need to see when the second book comes out, if it hasn't already. This one is The Wand Keepers, A Sky Full of Dragons by Tiffany McDaniel. This one was so fun. I love middle grade stories that are spooky or about ghosts or witches or anything like that, and that's what this one was about. So this one is about this little girl, and she lives with Aunt Cauldron Eyes, and Aunt Cauldron Eyes is a witch, and she ends up having to go to, the little girl ends up having to go to this school, and she befriends this little boy, and there's like talking animals. It's so freaking cute. I really, really loved the first one. I have to see if the second one has come out yet. Then one is a new mystery series, and I don't think the second one has come out yet, but this one is the Golden Girls Cozy Mystery series. This one is Murder by Cheesecake by Rachel Ekstrom Courage. This is the first book that came out in the series last year or the year before, and it's based on the Golden Girls TV show. And so in this one, you're following Rose as a main character who is trying to help put on this wedding for, I think, her grandniece or niece or something like that. And there's a murder that happens in the hotel where they're hosting the wedding, and the Golden Girls have to solve the murder and it was super cute and super fun, and I'm hoping that there will be more. I think there are. Another one that I'm okay with having read as many as I have in the series is the Belladonna series by Adeline Grace. This is the second book, Foxglove. So the first book, Belladonna, and the second book, Foxglove, are both about the same character, and it's a universe where the first book, the girl falls in love with death or something, and there's like plant magic, and it was a lot of fun. I finally read the second one last year and then realized that the third one, Wisteria, is about a different character, and I don't care about her, so I haven't continued on. I know there's also a novella called Holly that I think is about the main character from the first two books, so I might at some point pick them up, but as of right now, I'm kind of okay with leaving this as like a maybe. Then I have another book by Ursula K. Le Guin in this huge universe of hers, the Hainish novels. So the main ones for that are The Left Hand of Darkness and The Dispossessed, which I have read. I've read a lot of Ursula K. Le Guin. This one is 5 Ways to Forgiveness and takes place in the Hainish cycle, and it is one that I would really love to get to soon. It was, I think, the first book I bought in 2025. It's less than 300 pages, so I just really need to get to this one. Then we have the Lady Astronaut series by Mary Robinette Kowal. I've read the first 2 books, which the author has said are a standalone duology, but I have this one, Relentless Moon, which takes place at the same time, I think, as the first book, but it's about different characters. Since I have a copy, I would like to read it, and if I enjoy it, maybe then read the next book. I think there's 4 total. I had such a great time reading the first 2 books. They're so much fun. They're set in the 50s when a huge meteor hits the eastern seaboard of the United States, and the main character for the first 2 books, I think her name's Claire, is an astronaut. Her husband is like a physicist. They work for NASA, and they're trying to help figure out if they can survive on the moon because Earth is kind of falling apart. I just absolutely love the first 2 books, so I am somewhat interested in picking up the next one. Then one that I know the second book came out already. This is the Whisper Wicks by Jordan Lees, illustrated by Vivian Toe, and this is the Labyrinth of Lost and Found. I have to get the second book from the library because I don't have a copy, but this is about 11-year-old Benjamiah Creek. He believes in science, does not believe in magic, and then lo and behold, discovers that magic exists. It was just a lot of fun, so I do really want to continue on. We have this series by Martha Wells, which is her newest series. So the first book was Witch King. The second book was Queen Demon. I read Queen Demon from the library and had a really good time with it. I think there's going to be one more book in the trilogy, and so once that one comes out, I am happy to continue on. So yay for another series I'm caught up on, at least. Then we have a super cute one. This one is Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce. There is a second book that has come out called Dating and Dragons, which is also really cute, and there's at least a third book coming out. I'm not sure how many. They're not the same characters in each book, but they're like all loosely tied together because they're romances with Dungeons and Dragons elements, and I've read the first 2. I thought they were super cute, so very excited to continue on with this one. Then we've got one of my favorite series of all time, Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. I have read every book that has come out so far except for the newest one, which I think just came out this year. This is the only one I have, though. I've been getting them from the library, which I will probably do with the newest one. This is a super fun middle grade series about Amari, whose brother goes missing in the first book, and she is convinced that she can find him, and then uncovers like this whole magical universe, and it's like her and her friends fighting the bad guys. So much fun. Really, really love this series. Then we have this series by Christopher Buehlman. The first book was The Black Tongue Thief. Then this one was a prequel. This one is The Daughter's War. I've read both of those. The third one, I don't think the cover has even been announced, but I saw it pop up on Amazon. So I have like a hold in my wish list of like, remember that this is coming out so I can get it from somewhere else. But I am caught up with this one. This one was super duper fun. The Black Tongue Thief. I don't remember a lot of it, honestly. It's about a thief, and then in this book, The Daughter's War, this is a really, really graphic, violent war book about a goblin war. It's so disgusting, but I loved the main character, and she is a soldier that fights in this like band of female soldiers that all have war corvids, and it's just really, really cool. So I am excited for the next one to come out in this series. Another cozy one, we have the newest series from Sarah Beth Durst. The first book was The Spell Shop. This one is The Enchanted Greenhouse. There's one more book coming out, I think later this year in this universe. They're just super cozy fantasy, lots of plant magic. I had such a fun time reading both of them, and I'm very much looking forward to the next one. We have this series, I think it's a series because there's other ones that I think follow from this one. But this one is My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine, and I thought this was so cute. It's literally just about this girl that moves into this property and finds out that the guy living there, I think he owns the building, is a vampire, and her just trying to like get along with this guy who's like very obviously cold and like doesn't really show emotion. But I thought it was great, and I think that there are other books in this series because I've seen the covers in the romance section at Barnes & Noble. I'm assuming that it's the same characters. Let me know if it isn't, though. We have another one that I'm totally fine with not continuing on, and this one is The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. This one is about a sorority of witches, and I was totally fine with kind of how this book ended. I honestly don't remember a lot from it other than I had a good time. The second book is called The Monarchs, and I just don't think I give a shit about continuing on with the characters. So this is one that, unless you can convince me otherwise, I'm fine with just leaving with the first one read. We have a massive one. This one is Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Now, I read this one when it came out. You can see, you can't really see, but I did crack the spine on this one. I had a really good time reading this. I did really enjoy it, and I know that there's since been a prequel and then I think a third book in this universe, and the prequel is just as big as this one, but the third book is like really small, so I'm not entirely sure where it fits in the timeline of these books. But I've also heard that some people really enjoyed the prequel. I just loved being in this universe for this long. I think I might actually try to pick that one up relatively soon because I did enjoy this one. We have one that I'm gonna need to reread in order to continue on, and this one is The Faithful and the Fallen Book 1 by John Gwynne. This one is Malice, and it's just like a pretty standard fantasy series about like a chosen one and his friends, and I had such a great time with it. It is Sydney's favorite series. It is my sister's favorite series of all time, so I do really want to continue on with this one. It's on my list of like 10 fantasy series to read this year, but I just haven't yet, and now it's been so long that I am gonna need to reread this one. And the reason I'm gonna need to reread that one and the next one is because I read them back to back, and they're very similar in terms of like a teenage boy being the main character and like the chosen one. This one is The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. This is the first book in the Lycanius trilogy. I've heard really good things about the second and third book. I would love to continue on, I just haven't yet. And yeah, because I read these two books basically back to back, I don't remember who is who from each book, so I know that I'm just going to need to dedicate some time to doing rereads and then not move on. Like, I either need to read all three or read all four. I shouldn't try to do them at the same time again. We have two books in a series by Sarah Hawley that I need to get to. So the first book was A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, I think, and the second book is A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch, and the third book is A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire. I have these books. They've been sitting on my shelf for like 2 years, so I do really need to get these read. These are just like cozy fantasy romance books about witches and demons, and it's all the same group of friends, and I thought the first book was a lot of fun, so that's why I went and bought the next two, and then I haven't read them, so I really need to do that. A massive series I need to continue on with. This is The Keeper of Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. This one is book 4, so this is the next one I have to read, Never Seen. These are super duper fun fantasy middle grade about a little girl that ends up discovering that like she doesn't really fit in with the people at school and why she doesn't fit in, and then this kid who shows up that's kind of like her rival, and then he ends up telling her like, actually I'm here to help you, and here's all these magical people and stuff. And I did start reading this one a while ago. I remember it starts with a Yeti, I think, but I haven't picked it up in a couple years, so I do want to continue on. The third book made me cry. And we have a couple series that I just have one book left in the series and I'll finish it, so I really want to prioritize those. We have the Hell's Library trilogy by A.J. Hackwith. I only have The God of Lost Words, the third and final book, to read, and I really need to. This is about Claire, who is a librarian in Hell, and in the first book, you just kind of follow her as she's becoming the librarian of Hell and realizing how it works and all the different creatures and stuff. Book 2 follows along with her and some of the other people you meet from book 1, and I've just had this one sitting on my shelf for years, and I want to complete this trilogy. Then we have this one, which is the sixth and final book in the Fortuna Sworn series. So this one is Violent Awakening by KJ Sutton. This is a romantasy series that's indie published. I have all of them now in matching covers. This one just came out at the end of last year. I got it for Christmas. I just need to pick it up and finish it. I've heard very mediocre things about it, but I wonder how much of that is just that people are not happy that it's over versus how much they actually think it sucks. I haven't really looked into it because I don't want anyone else's opinion to impact my own. I really just need to pick this one up. We have another middle grade. This one is Greenwild, The City Beyond the Sea by Perry Townsend. This is the second book in the series. Another middle grade series about fantasy, and this one's plant magic. And I loved the first one. I went and bought the second book and then didn't read it, so I really need to read it. And I know there's at least one more book. I don't know if that's it or if there will be more. We have a bind up of a quartet. This is the Tensor series by Neon Yang. I did read the first book when I first got it a long time ago, and that was The Black Tides of Heaven. And then there are at least 3 other books that are in this bind up, so I do want to sit down and reread the first one and just continue on since they're all put together. It's not that long for 4 books. They were like 4 novellas, but I am really excited to get back to this world. It's fantasy, and I think there's assassins, but it's been a long time. One I'm fine with never completing, honestly, is His Dark Materials. I only have the 3rd and final book, The Amber Spyglass, to read by Philip Pullman. I have reread the first book many, many times. I finally continued on and read the second book, I think last year, maybe the year before. And oh my god, I don't care about the little girl. The main character, Lyra, is so unbelievably annoying that I just don't really care what happens to her. And that's kind of a problem because she's the main character. And so I just don't really want to put my brain back into her universe in her head because she's pretty annoying. But if you think it's worth completing the trilogy, let me know. The series that I'm gonna need to restart because it's been so long since I read the first one is the God King Chronicles by Mike Brooks. I read the first one, whatever the first one's called. I read that one a couple years ago and really enjoyed it. So I went and got the second book, The Splinter King, but now it's been so long that I don't remember enough to continue on. But I did have a really good time with it. So I do want to prioritize this one if I can. One I'm very excited for is the next Enola Holmes book. So this is Enola Holmes and the Clanging Coffin by Nancy Springer. This is the newest book in the series. I have read all of them. I have all of them. And so I immediately bought this one when it came out. And this is a middle grade series following Enola, who is the younger sister of Sherlock and Mycroft. And she is also trying to like solve crimes and weird cases and help people while being a young girl in this like Victorian era where she's supposed to have a chaperone and like always wear skirts, but she likes climbing trees and all that shit. It's just so much fun. This is part of the new series of Enola Holmes, which have come out since the Netflix movies. The first set of books I think is like 6 or 7, and then there are, I think this is the 4th in this like new era of her stories, and they're just really fun. They are pretty dark though at times, where some of the content I've been shocked that it's been written for kids because of how violent it is. So just know that if you have like a younger kid who might think it's fun, maybe read it first because some of them are incredibly violent. Like, I don't really remember books being that violent when I was a kid, but maybe they were. Maybe I just wasn't reading the good ones. I don't know. Another one that I am not convinced that I need to continue on with it, but if you loved the second book, let me know. This is the Immortal Dark series by Tegest Girma, and I just finished this one like last week or the week before. This is a vampire series about this older teenage girl who has a twin that's gone missing. She is convinced that this vampire kidnapped her sister, and so she goes to the university where the vampire lives and is studying to try to confront him and find out what happened to her sister. And I thought it was fun. It's like dramatic as hell. It's just like really over the top emotional vampires, and I thought it was fun, but I don't necessarily feel compelled to continue on based on how the first book ended because I don't necessarily care about the other characters that were being introduced at the end of the first book, and I'm worried that the second book is all about them, and I don't really care. But if Eternal Ruin is really good, let me know and maybe I will give it a shot. 2 more piles of series that I've started, and this is not including any series that I've started on my Kindle. I will have to film that clip once I'm done this and have put these books away because there's so many. A series that is ongoing, another Martha Wells series. This one is the Murderbot Diaries. So this is the first book, All Systems Red. My husband and I have both read, well, actually, I don't know if he finished. I've read all of them twice. I think they're great. They're so much fun. He read the first, I think 3 or 4 and watched the show, and he loved the show. I kind of refuse to watch the show because who Murderbot is in my head will never match the Skarsgård version, and I've heard that the Skarsgård guy did a great job. That's fine. In my head, that is not what Murderbot looks like. But the 8th book, I think it's the 8th book, comes out this year in this series, and I am very excited. We have it pre-ordered. We are so ready. A series I don't know if I'm ever going to continue on with is the Wheel of Time series. My friends and I had a Wheel of Time podcast for a couple of years where we were reading through the books and we were filming just recording just us talking about the series. And I was the only girl in that group, and reading this kind of like 90s era massive fantasy series written from a male was an interesting experience. Some of the books I enjoyed more than others. We are up to, I believe, book 6. So this one is Lord of Chaos, and I really just don't care about some of the characters, especially the main guy. I don't even remember his name. I want to call him Bran. I don't know if that's his name. I don't think it is. Whatever his name is, I just didn't really care about him. I found it Rand. I just thought he was kind of mediocre and annoying, but there were other characters that I enjoyed a lot more. So now it's been so long that I don't know if I would even remember enough to continue on. I'd have to go back and look at my notes from the podcast, but I will keep at least the first 5 books on my shelf because it was part of the podcast. We had a really good time with it. But yeah, I don't know if this one's ever going to happen. Another one, I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I only have Dance with Dragons left in A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin to read because the next books are probably never going to come out. I read the first, is it the first 4 or first 5? I can't remember which number this is. Of those books in one semester in undergrad. I just sat there and I read them back to back, these massive books. You can see I had this tabbed off so I could read this one in sections, and I just never did. It looks like I got up to page 90 when I tried. It has been years and years now. I graduated from college in 2013. So it's been 13 years since I've picked up this series, and I just don't think I'm ever going to, but I'm going to keep it on my shelf because I put in the work for the first couple at least. One I'm currently reading, I am halfway through this one. This is book 6 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Dinniman that everyone is reading. This one is The Eye of the Bedlam Bride. Book 7 has since come out. Book 8 comes out, I think, in June. My husband has read all of these books twice. I am only halfway through book 6, and I keep putting it down to pick up other books, but I do really enjoy this series, so I am hoping to, well, my plan is to finish the 6th book soon so I can read the 7th book before the 8th book comes out. Another one that I only have 1 book left is the Her Majesty's Royal Coven series by Juno Dawson. I just have the 3rd book, which is Human Rights. I need to just keep this front and center on my desk so that I finally pick it up. This one is so fun. It's about this coven of witches that live in the UK, and it was started during, oh my god, what's her face? I can't remember. Anne Boleyn, I think. I think it was started during Anne Boleyn. So there's 3 books and then a novella. I've read the first 2 and the novella. They're on my shelf. This one came out, I think, last year. I immediately bought it and then haven't read it. And so I really need to. The queer representation is great in this book. There's at least 1 trans character. It's just so much fun. A duology that I need to read, I need to start over though, is the Locked In, whatever this is called, by John Scalzi. The first one is Lock In. The second one is Head On. I read Lock In grad school in 2014, so it's been a very long time. So I do need to read this one again. It's about a highly contagious virus that gives people lock-in syndrome, so where you're awake but you can't talk or tell anyone that you know what's happening, which is terrifying. And that's probably why I haven't picked it up, but I do have the 2nd book, so I would like to complete this. John Scalzi is one of our favorite authors. My husband is making his way through the Old Man's War series right now. He just finished book 3 last night. I do want to read that one. Another one that I only have 1, technically 2 left is the Raybearer Revelations by Michael J. Sullivan. This book is actually the first 2 stories. That's how these are published. The second one is the second 2, which was Rise of Empire. The third one is Heir of Novron. I don't have Rise of Empire. I read it on my Kindle, and I really need to finish this one. But this is just such a cozy kind of high fantasy series about these 2 men that work together, and it's just so comforting. I don't know why, it just hits me as like so unbelievably cozy that I don't really ever want to finish it. I think what I will probably do is honestly just restart it at some point and maybe I'll finish it. I don't know. I just really, really love it. We have a trilogy that I've only read the first one, but it's been so long I need to reread it. This one is the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. So I read book 1, The Blade Itself. I started book 2, which is Before They Are Hanged, and I didn't finish it, and now it's been a couple years, so I'm gonna need to reread this one before I read the second one. But I bought this trilogy in these covers and never read them, so now I need to do that. Another one that I think I'm okay if I never continue on is The Library of the Dead. I've read the first book. This one's by T.L. Huchu, and this just isn't what I thought it was going to be. Like, I feel like the title is kind of misleading for what it was. But if you read the other book, it's Our Lady of Mysterious Ailments. I don't know how many there are, if it's just a duology, but if you've continued on with it and you liked it, please let me know if you think it's worth reading. Because right now I'm kind of like, meh. One that I can't wait for the next one to come out is this series. This is Dating and Dismemberment by A.L. Brody. The next book, I think, got delayed. I thought it was going to come out earlier this year or last year, but it looks like it still hasn't come out yet. But that one, I think, is some kind of wedding. I don't remember what it's called, but this one was super fun. It is about this monster who is like a famed monster. Each monster has their own kind of area mapped off of like their hunting grounds, and hers is in the woods near a teenage like summer camp, and so she is the monster that haunts the woods of the summer camp. But she lives with the dismembered head of her mother, and her mother's really domineering and like annoying, and she took over for her mother as like, you know, next in line for the most feared monster ever. But she doesn't really know if she wants to be that person. She kind of just wants to let the teenagers live. And so when she stops fighting for a while, this other monster moves in on her territory, and it's like an enemies to lovers, and it was so cute and I loved it so much. So I really can't wait for the next one to come out. Then a duology, I really want to read the second one soon. I read Bonesmith by Nikki Powell Prado last year or the year before, and I had such a great time with it. This is about Ren, who is a soldier. She's trying to become like some specific royalty soldier thing, but in this universe they have to fight the undead, and there's like an enemies to lovers in it, and it was just a lot of fun, so I would like to pick up the next one soon. I think the second one is called Ghostsmith. Is this one a series? I think it is. This is The Bone Witch by Rin Chupeco. I think there's 2 more in this series. So this is about T or Taya, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, that is a witch, and she is a bone witch, so she does like necromancy, and there's like a lot of wars. It's been a while since I read this one, but I really did enjoy it. I just haven't continued on with the books. I kind of want to though. A duology that I need to finish is whatever the one is that's after this one. So this one is Iron Widow by Jiren J. Zhao. Zhao, not sure how to say that. And I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was great. I think this is the one where they fight in these like mech suit kind of things, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I just haven't continued on, and there's only one other book, so I do need to complete that. One that I just finished was Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is the first book in the Greenbone Saga trilogy. This is the only one I have, so I'll have to get the next one from the library, but this is a high fantasy about these like warring groups of people, like different kind of gangs, and you're following the one family as they're fighting for their territory against the other family, and also mining green shards like jade. They mine jade, and that gives them powers, and it was fun. I really enjoyed it. It took me a while to get into it, honestly, but once I was halfway through, I was like eager to pick it back up and continue on. I am excited to continue on with this one. And one I read at the beginning of February and absolutely loved, and I cannot wait for the next book to come out, is this one. This is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty, and the second book is coming out very soon, and I cannot wait. In this one, you're following this pirate who is kind of retired. She's hiding in the woods with her family, and one day this like member of royalty shows up and hires her to find her granddaughter, who she is convinced prince has been kidnapped, and so you're following the main character who is like a world-renowned pirate. She's very, very intimidating, very, very talented fighter, and I just thought it was wonderful. I had such a fun time reading this one on vacation, and I cannot wait for the next one to come out. Now let's get into all the series that I haven't started yet. I'm not going to tell you shit about these because this has already been 35 minutes and this is going to take forever. I'm just going to hold them up, tell you what it is, and we're going to keep going. So the first one is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I have read the Mistborn book 1 twice, really enjoyed it, never continued on, never finished Way of Kings. There's a billion books in the series. They're all absolutely huge. I do really want to read them. We have the Wolf Hall trilogy by Hilary Mantel. We have Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. We have A Crown of Ivy and Glass by Claire Legrand. Marvelers by Donnell Clayton. We have Warlock Holmes, A Study in Brimstone by G.S. Denning. We have Sherlock Holmes vs. Cthulhu, The Adventures of the Deadly Dimensions by Lois Gresh. Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine. The Gutter Prayer by Gareth Hanrahan. Gear Breakers by Zoe Hannah Makuta. Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Miro. One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. The Legendborn trilogy by Tracy Dion. I did actually read the first book, Legendborn, so this is the second book, but it's been so long that I want to reread the first book and then go into the second book. Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. Sovereign by C.J. Sansom and Dissolution are on my shelves. This is a huge historical series. Wolf of Owen-Yaro by K.S. Veloso. My Imaginary Mary by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This is not the first book. The first book is My Lady Jane, but this is the one about Mary Shelley, so that's why I have this one. She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan, but I actually have the first book in his newest series, which is like much creepier, Grey Vampire or something like that, so I might read that series before I get to this one. The Diviners by Libba Bray. The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. And The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. So those are all the ones that I have physical copies of. I also have started the Legend of Greg trilogy by Chris Rylander. That's an epic series of failures trilogy. I also have read... I've started the Temeraire series by Naomi Novik, so that's His Majesty's Dragon is the first book. I have the first trilogy. I just didn't get it off of my shelf. The Midnight Gun Saga by C.L. Monahan. I have, I think, the first 2 books physical copy. I like to own all of them. That's an indie series that is like very spooky and a lot of fun. Technically, Arc of a Scythe series by Neil Shusterman. I haven't read the short story collection Gleanings, but I have read the full trilogy. The Chronicles of Weatherwhy by Anna James. I read the first book that came out last year or the year before. I don't think the second book has come out yet, but when that comes out, I will read that one. My husband and I are going to be buddy reading The Lord of the Rings this spring, so I have read The Fellowship of the Ring and The Hobbit, but we're just gonna restart and read those together. The Winter House series by Ben Gooderson. I've read Winter House, but I haven't read the other ones. The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which is like the Dream Harbor series by Laurie Gilmore. I don't know that I really care enough to continue on. They're like cozy romance, and I don't know that I care, but maybe I will. The Foxheart books. I read Thornlight, but I haven't read Foxheart by Claire Legrand. And the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. I read The Small Way to a Long Angry Planet. I have all of them on my Kindle, so I would like to continue on with that series. The second book is A Close and Common Orbit. I think that's it. That's everything that I have on my Kindle and or everything that I have on my spreadsheet and all of my physical books. There are probably others. I just couldn't find them. This is insane, so I'm going to spend a lot of time putting all of these back because my office is kind of a nightmare, but I just wanted to come on here and show you guys all of the series that I'm in the middle of. Let me know if there are any that I should prioritize. I definitely want to film a vlog where I am trying to finish up a bunch of series, so I will probably start that soon, but let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them. Any that I should prioritize, definitely let me know, and that's it. I'll catch you in the next one.